Witch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you're watching another episode of Every Which Way. This time featuring Julia Martin of the Flying Cat Collective. And I think that this interview is going to be in contrast in a really interesting way with the usual, like, wah, in-your-faceness of my personality and of some of the guests that I end up having on Every Which Way. Julia has a very chill, yogini vibe, and she is not trying to sell you anything. She is just sharing her life as it unfolds in a very organic way. And I thought that some of you might relate to that and relate to her story because she is a creative person and an animal lover and a yoga instructor, and she has gradually over time just found a way for these things to start coming together. And I thought that that was a really cool message for the end of the year, to just be as opposed to make it happen. So here she is, Julia Martin of the Flying Cat Collective. Enjoy! Hi, Julia. Welcome to Every Which Way.
Hi, Joanna.
Hey. Happy New Year, almost.
Yeah, right. Merry Christmas, Yule, solstice, Kwanzaa, all that.
Yes, and for people who don't know, you are one of my oldest internet friends because we got to know each other at CCOR, co-creating our reality.
Yeah. Video blogging at its finest.
And you are a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
And really sort of a community creator. You have something that you've created called the Flying Cat Collective, and that's very much based where you live in Kentucky. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Flying Cat is?
Yeah, it's funny. I should make up a whole story. I should make a mythology or something because the story's actually not that exciting. But we are actually in the Flying Cat right now. It's the front of my house. And it's a building that my dad had invested in, and he used to flip properties. So it's just a house that he kept that's on Main Strasse Village, the historic village in Covington. So I think he kind of thought it would, appreciate and value kind of thing and just hold on to it. It used to be a barbershop through 2 generations in the actual physical location of the Flying Cat. So really love, historical kind of stuff like that. Like the house is over 100 years old, I'm sure. But I'm totally getting off the subject.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. And you formed a collective where you're like showing art and holding workshops and doing all kinds of things. There's tarot readings sometimes there. What do you guys do?
Well, yeah, so the Flying Cat was actually a boutique and a gallery for 3 years. And I wanted it to be a collective, and I wanted it to be a collective, and I wanted it to be a collective. So it was for 3 years. I actually, some of the most consistent members that helped and were invested the most were actually people that I did roller derby with. Yeah, so that was an interesting time.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, it was weird.
You're so creative. I love that.
Yoga, roller derby, so I was straddling some weird line, but anyway.
Yeah, it's like the yin and the yang, or the masculine and the feminine.
Right, yeah. I thought, ooh, this will help me deal with my anger.
Did it?
No. No, I got some good exercise, but yeah, I had to find a better way to do that. So anyway, we did run First Friday openings every month for 3 years or so. I started the Flying Cat originally because, and yeah, I was thinking about telling you this story in my car today. I was driving, like, what am I going to say? And, I thought back to why the hell did I do this? And the whole thing was that my dad had filled this space up with a lot of old stuff. Like, not great old stuff, just old stuff, just stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was cleaning it out, get rid of some things, and I decided to do there's a world's longest yard sale that happens down here, and culture at its finest in northern Kentucky. So the world's longest yard sale goes, I think, from Michigan now down to Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
we were one of the first places to start, and then it went on down to the southern states. So anyway, that goes on every August. So I was like, I have this space. I'm going to open it up and just try to get rid of some of the stuff, make a little money. Why not? Because I have the stuff and I have the space. So I sat there and I did that for a day, and I was like, maybe I could do this. It feels pretty good. And it just went from there. I was like, okay, well, we have the space. Yeah. So that's kind of just where it all started. Was I have the space, and I thought I was going to use it as an art studio for myself, and then I thought, oh, I'll open a gallery and I'll make lots of art, and that didn't happen. I avoided making art while learning how to run a business, so it was valuable, although it wasn't what I thought I was going to be doing. So it was a collective for about 3 years, and then having had First Friday events every month, and then at some point I moved into this space. I was living at a friend's house, and then I moved in, and we were still doing First Fridays and still doing this and that, and I just got done. I was like, no, I can't anymore. I need my own space, because the great quandary with this space was that the bathroom is all the way back through my entire house. So if I'm, having a thing going on, I can't just say, oh yeah, go to whatever. I would take people all the way back through my house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So it's always been like, I can't just open this as a public space. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do I do this? So I shut it down for a while, and then reopened it and did do a few yoga classes, and I can fit about 9 people, like New York style, like sardines in here, which is fun. I really like that. So I did that for a little while, and then I decided that I don't want to do anything in my house anymore. And I just went out and I started teaching in other spaces, and now it's just like the ocean, It's like up, the tide comes up, tide goes back, so now I'm pulling it back, and I want to be in my own space. And finally, after 5 years of dealing with this space, I filled it with my own artwork. I finally did what I said I was going to do. So there it is.
It seems like a very organic but sort of roundabout, just exploratory process that you've been on here.
Exactly. So I'll tell you how that all ties together with the artwork that I have in the space, and the show is titled Journey. And for me, it's unfolding still as what that means. Because originally I thought, oh, journey, like shamanic journeying, like, with the drumming, and you go into the worlds and you meet your totems, or you meet your angels, or whatever, you get guidance, or you just go and have a good time, whatever it is. So that's what I was thinking when I titled it that, because a lot of it has to do with animals and, landscapes. So as we had that show and we had that opening, and I'm sitting here, and we got snowed out, so we had 4 people.
Oh no!
From the neighborhood, which was kind of cool, because they are my neighbors, and like 2 of them were a friend that I went to high school with, and her parents came, and it was like, this is so weird. So anyway, it was just really nice. And so we were going to have a tarot card reader, which we did do for First Friday openings. I had a friend that always did that for us. So we kind of bring that element, but she was, she lives far enough away that it just wasn't going to work for her to drive here and do that. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do it, because I'm like, oh, why not, have fun. And I've been doing card readings for myself since I was 15. So I've done 1 card reading before this time, and it was just like, that's not right for me. That's not my thing. But now it seems to be okay and right. So yeah, the whole thing, the artwork sitting here and opening up into what it is, that's all coming together from this journey that I have been on. And that exactly what you're saying, that meandering, and it's all like, finally all the streams are coming together.
It's sort of like making sense out of the chaos too, and just I just think every creative person can relate to that, because you get that I was just talking about this, you get choice paralysis in a way. Like, there's so many different directions you can go when you're a creative person, when you have a really open spiritual path, when you're really open to the possibilities and exploring the different things. It's really fun when all of a sudden it starts sort of clicking and making sense. Mm-hmm. And the pieces start like working together. You stop feeling so like, like all over the place. Yeah. I relate to that.
Totally. Absolutely. That's how it's been. It's like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. And I was a server forever. Like, I worked in food industry for 15 years, and I had to get out because I had an injury. But all of that experience even fed into, you know, what I'm doing. I hated it, but it made me like, okay, how do I, you know, the whole thing is about giving people a really awesome experience. That was like one of the things that I always loved to do. And that's what I do with my yoga classes. I thought, you know, my one goal was a long, long time ago was if I can do one class, just one cool class that people feel really good like I feel when I was learning about yoga when I was like 16, 17, early 20s. And I was like, oh, wow, that would be amazing. And now I'm like, that's all I'm doing.
That's great.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's like, okay, here you go. That dream is accomplished and then completely expounded upon. So now what am I going to turn it into and bring it in, you know, in line with all of this other stuff too.
What do you think that drive is to create the collective and to make like the art and the yoga come together? Like, do you feel like you have a point or you're just sort of following like wherever your desire and interests take you?
Yeah, art has always been there. I actually have a bachelor's in drawing.
Oh,
so
okay. And that's your work behind you right there too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are some of my paintings. Yeah, they're all over this room. You can't see them. And, you know, I went through 2 teacher trainings for yoga. So, I mean, I have all this education platform that says, and also I have an associate degree in graphic design.
Oh,
so
my
it's
goodness.
Like, there's everything, you know, art, yoga, and then your online, you know, your image or whatever you're sending out, that kind of stuff. So it's just, you know, I don't know. It's just kind of a fortuitous thing. And, you know, it's funny. I'm going to say this because I heard it on the radio today, and it was on some, like, crazy religious public radio channel. She's like, there's this girl I know that can sing so much. She's amazing, but she won't sing because she's afraid. And she's like, if you have a talent, you know, get it out there because God wouldn't have given it to you if you weren't going to use it. You know, just like use your talent. Don't be afraid. You have to set down your fear and da da da. And I was like, yeah. And then it got all weird. And I'm like, okay, that was good. Thanks.
I believe that though. I think we're given our gifts to give them. Like, exactly. Don't just like hold on to your gift. You know, you got to give it away. And in giving it away, you can find your path.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I don't know how to say it in a better way, but these things are my medicine. This is what I have to give. This is what has kept me sane. And so I want to put it out there, but it's hard to find the balance between doing it for yourself and doing it for other people. That's kind of what I'm finding right now, is how do I keep feeding while giving the things that are really, really important and intimate for me.
It sounds like you have a fairly intimate space going on there. How big is your town? Is it a small town? What?
Yeah, good question. Covington's actually pretty big.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and we are.
I don't know.
Yeah, right, I know, Covington, Kentucky. What? No, literally, I could pretty much throw a rock to Cincinnati. It's right there.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, the river's right here. We go right across the bridge. So I actually have a pretty big scope. There's a lot of little, I don't know, hamlets, little cities within the city that some are cute and eclectic, and they're kind of like places where you can draw, you know, from the community or get involved in little artist communities in the area. So there's a fairly large population around here. And actually, there's been a big insurgence of yoga and specifically hot yoga. And I don't want to get started on that rant because it is a rant. And I do teach hot yoga.
You do? You do Bikram, or you're not allowed to use the name? It's hot yoga.
Right, yeah. It's just vinyasa yoga, heated in a room that's humid. So there's been a big influx of hot yoga recently. But there's also been a large community thing happening in Cincinnati around yoga that a lot of people are spearheading. And we had a really amazing renovation of Washington Park in Cincinnati. If you ever hear about it, it's in over the Rhine, which has been a really I don't know it's a bad area. It's been a bad area forever, but it is the most historically preserved building-wise area, I think, oldest in the country, something like that. So wow. It's in a bad way, or it was, but it's getting a big insurgence of energy and help, and they've completely redone Washington Park, which is kind of the heart of Over the Rhine. And so there was this huge effort to do community yoga in that space, and I think they got like 400 people by the end of the summer, all coming together and doing yoga. So, I mean, for Ohio, for Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, I was surprised. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
There's a lot. There's a lot of people ready, I think.
Yeah, I think the internet has a lot to do with that. We're becoming this global community regardless of where we live. Like, I notice even when I go home to my hometown, like, the fashions used to be really divided. Even though it's only an hour and a half out of Los Angeles, we'd always be really behind on the fashions. You'd have to go into LA to get what was cool. But now, because of the internet, you go and it's like, we're all starting to look alike, and be into the same things spiritually and all this stuff, because we're all on the computers.
Right, I know. And I think that is a really good thing about the internet, that it's bringing a lot of things that would not be accessible to a lot of people to them. And I honestly think that's a good thing. There's a lot of not so good things about it, but...
Yeah, it's a for better or worse kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I met you, like we were talking about, through Co-Creating Our Reality, which was based... For people who don't know, it's a community that is based around the law of attraction. So how does that come into play with yoga? Do you find those two things work really well together, or do you even still practice the law of attraction?
I got everything I asked for. And so I stopped asking. Because I was creating a lot of problems for myself. By getting all of these things and realizing that I really can't handle it. I really can't. So I just kind of really prefer a method of kind of stepping back and going, what's right? Rather than sitting down and kind of trying to figure it out and say, okay, here's what I want this year. Like, here's what I want to do. Because I don't know, I found that I was kind of boxing myself in with those kinds of things. I'm not really sure how to say it, but I felt like I was defining things too much, maybe.
I understand that. I think that law of attraction can turn out to be an interesting spiritual lesson for people. Especially now I'm not saying you were, but especially if you come at it from like an ego point of view of, I want to acquire these things or achieve these things, or a very like left brainy or masculine approach where you're like, I want these, I'm going to energetically bring them into my life. It can bring them into your life, and then you can find out like what else comes with all of that, and you're like, whoa, okay, maybe I didn't want all that.
Absolutely. So the last thing I think I asked for was the partner that I have now.
Oh.
So that's been 2 years, and boy, did I get what I asked for. I did. I had a list. There's a cycling method that I learned in the last teacher training thing that I did, and it was a John Kabat-Zinn thing, I think, if that name rings a bell.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was when I was introduced to it, but there was this study about doing energy work because healing touch was a part of the training that I did with yoga as well, and that these people were doing energy work on rats that had cancer and were told to make a list of 21 things or 20 things, I don't remember, that they wanted to manifest in their lives. And to connect those things to images so they could flip through them quickly. So you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you just see that thing for a second and go to the next one and keep cycling through while you're doing the energy work. And, you know, somehow they came up with the fantastic results. It was amazing. And all the mice were cured. And even the mice that were in the control group that never got any energy work were cured or something. So,
oh, how weird.
Yeah, so anyway, I just started practicing with that. Not doing energy work, just starting the list and trying to memorize 20 things, flipping through, and lo and behold, when I look back, all of the things on my list came, and a lot of them were brought by the relationship that I got when I asked for it, and I was like, holy crap! That's amazing, you know, but geez, that's a lot of power.
Yeah.
And I think I need to just slow it down a little bit. So I'm pretty impatient. I want things to happen now. I'm human. I think that's a human quality a lot of times. So I just need to like exhale and just be in the moment rather than, you know, I can really get into some wonderful, amazing, grand things that I want to get into, but I really just need to be present with what I've got, you know. So I think practicing gratitude is really the thing.
I'm so glad we talked right now because that's exactly what I've been telling my husband specifically. Like 2014 is about grounding into what I've already created and being with that, maybe going deeper with it. But I've like, in the last 2 years, I've thrown so many balls up in the air. I'm like still getting the hang of juggling them. Like, no more balls, please.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to like really cull things down, but having this relationship is like a part-time job. Doing self-care is like a part-time job. And I'm sure you can hear my dog in the background who will not stop.
I know. He's like, no, Skype, YouTube.
That's Ketsy.
Well, let's say before you go, let's talk about animals because that's such a part of what you do and who you are. So inevitably, it makes its way into your work.
It does. Yeah, that's always been art, yoga, and animals. That's just those are the things that work for me. So, I would love to eventually partner with some nonprofit or start doing some kind of fundraising for some local animal shelter, whatever. It doesn't have to be local, whatever it is. Just something where animals are being helped. And so part of what I'm starting now is to do some portraits for people of their pets. And, you know, I have about 1 million projects that I want to get into with the flying cat. So to bring it back around, something that I wanted to say about the show that I had here when I brought it all home and brought it all together. And I did have a yoga class in here when I had the reopening after we were snowed in. So I opened it up again and I added a yoga class to that, and it was awesome. But the whole thing was I'm sitting here and I'm doing, you know, tarot cards, or I'm teaching yoga and in my space and I'm surrounded by the artwork. And I just sat there and I was like, oh, I am the flying cat. Oh crap. No. So it was it was like, oh, you know, and my partner's like, well, I knew that.
The eye of the hurricane, the fly.
You knew that the whole time, man. It all came together. So yeah, the cat, literally the cat as an animal in the moon. I'm a night owl. I've always been a night owl. And so being at home, I would find a lot of solace. There was a neighborhood cat that would come and sit with me, and I would sing, and it would always love me while I'm singing and the moon's out. And so these things were always they would always feed me.
Wow.
And then I look over and that's my logo and I'm like, what? Like, how did that happen? That's weird.
It's so cool.
Well,
it's
yeah,
synchronistic.
so it's more, you know, you can call it totems or whatever, but it's like, that is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I loved getting to talk to you and have you on the show because I'm such a in your face person sometimes, and you have this nice like receptive energy almost. Even when you're speaking, it's very just mellow Julia vibe. Do you have I almost can't ask you this question because it seems so antithetical to what I just said, but do you have a tip for creating the kick-ass life of your dreams? Maybe for someone that doesn't specifically know what they want to do, but they've got these gifts and interests sort of floating around.
Yeah, geez. I don't know. All I can say is right now the most important thing for me is about self-care. That's the thing. Because if I get ahead of myself, or if I get beside myself, or, you know, if I'm not sure, going for a walk in the woods, sitting down to meditate, just finding places or things where you step out of time. Because I think we just get so wrapped up in time and money. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a whole other beast. But just finding some time outside of time where you can get into the right brain? I don't remember.
Yeah.
The one that's not, you know, numbers and math and logic.
The right brain, yeah.
Finding that, I don't know. That's kind of all I have right now.
I love it. It's awesome. Thank you for doing this. It was fun getting to talk to you face to face for once.
Yeah, let's do it more.
Yes. Much love, Julia.
All right. Namaste. Thank you.